Hello and welcome to another episode of the BSN podcast. Today is Friday, September 23rd. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, September 23rd here today. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Coming off another big night last night in the world of sports. Coming off another Yankees win. We still await Judge's 61st home run. Obviously got number 60 on Tuesday. Did not get number 61 on Wednesday and was 4 feet away from getting 61 last night off of Matt Barnes in the bottom of the ninth. Really good pitch to hit. Judge just got under it. I think also a little bit of it was it was windy, and I don't want to make excuses, but it was windy. It was a windy night. It was a colder night. I think I'd have to look at my scorebook to see exactly what the weather was because I put it in. It was like 68 degrees, which was probably one of the colder games of the year, dating back to April. And I know earlier in the year they had that Detroit series, which was pretty cold. But now as you get late September into October, the temperatures are going to start to drop and stuff. And being the first day of fall yesterday, ball wasn't traveling great. If that was in July, that's probably a home run. If it was August, that's probably a home run. Even earlier in September, that's probably a home run. Last night, cold, being a little windy. It was not a home run, 4 feet away. 8 of the 30 MLB ballparks, though, it would have been a home run in. So it just so happens that the Yankees is one of those 22 that it wasn't a home run in. 4 feet away, 408 dead center, deepest part of the ballpark. He hits at 404. Kike Hernandez on the warning track. It was tough, but hey, you know what that is? The beauty is you get another opportunity tonight, most likely another 4 at-bats, unless if the Yankees offense completely goes silent. He'll get another 4 at-bats tonight to give it a tack, and then tomorrow he'll get another opportunity. I would love to see him. He'll have at least 16 at-bats left against the Red Sox. I would love to see, or 12 at-bats. I would love to see him get it against Boston. I would love that. Maris got it against Boston. I think that would be cool. All the rivalry, all the history between the two teams, I think would be great. So we'll see. So Yankees tonight, they did get the win, though, Donaldson. So Yankees, slowly but surely here find themselves with a 4-game win streak now. So they're starting to win some games. They clinched the playoff spot last night, which isn't surprising. Obviously, it's exciting, but nothing that, really is surprising now. I mean, we kind of already knew this was going to happen. Now it's just about, continuing to win, get the division, and then, these final couple series, really just get ready for the postseason. So tonight, you got Yankees against Red Sox, game 2 of a 3-game set. Mets will open up a series in Oakland, a 3-game set Friday through Sunday tonight with the first game of that 3 games in Oakland against the A's. So the Mets play at the worst stadium in baseball tonight, and the Yankees play it again in electric Yankee Stadium. All right, so it is a Football Friday podcast, so you know the drill. Got a lot to get to today. We're going to start things off with, obviously, our game picks. We'll get to it. We'll get to the Jets as well. Giants we'll get to on Monday as they play Monday night, so I'll give you my Giants pick on Monday. But as for today, we get to the NFL picks. Talk about them. You know the drill. It's a Football Friday podcast. Then we'll give you some fantasy football advice, everything you need to know as we get ready for Week 3. Can't believe I'm saying that. It's already Week 3 of the NFL season. We'll get you ready. And then, like I said, finish things off with the New York Sports Update. Yankees, Red Sox tonight, Mets, A's as well. So an exciting weekend of baseball in front of us. A lot of college football as well. Tennessee, Florida, very good game. That's what College Game Day will be. So a lot to look forward to this weekend. It's fall. It's late September, almost October. You can feel the cool breeze. It's almost postseason baseball time. We're hitting the prime of the NFL season. And let's get right into it. So this is the BSN podcast, and let's get this thing started. All right, so my NFL game picks. Going into the week, I was 17-15. I got last night's correct. I did say on Wednesday I was going to predict the Browns. I stuck with it. I wasn't going to predict the Steelers. Mitch Trubisky, their quarterback situation's a mess. I also thought the Browns would come out pretty motivated after that embarrassing blowout, after that embarrassing choke job against the Jets. But the Browns I come into this week 17-15. With the win last night, I'm 18-15. So I'm 3-0 on Thursday Night Football. I got the Bills-Rams right. I picked the Bills. I got the Chiefs-Chargers right. I picked the Chiefs. And then last night, I picked the Browns, and they got the win. So I'm 3-0 this season on fantasy football. 3-0 this season in my game picks on Thursday night. And overall, 18-15 as we enter Week 3. All right, so here we go. Starting things off with the 2-0 Bills and the 2-0 Dolphins, the two top leaders in the AFC East. Bills coming off a big win against Tennessee. Dolphins coming off a big comeback win on the road against Baltimore. Bills are 5-point favorites. The over-under set at 53, 1 Eastern on CBS. You know how I feel about Buffalo. Very good team, obviously. Goes out, dominates Tennessee. Not something we were really that surprised about. I think we all kind of saw that coming. Bills continue to be the team to beat. I like the Bills in this game. I don't want to act like I'm hating on Miami. I do need to see more out of Miami. Last week was impressive. 6 touchdowns, almost 500 yards for Tua. Last week was impressive. No doubt about it. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of a hangover. I do think the Bills are going to come out with a lot of energy. They're going to come out with a lot of energy, fire. I think this is, their first, official football Sunday they're playing on. It's going to be an exciting game. There's going to be a lot of energy. I mean, this is a good, exciting early season matchup. The Bills, though, have had the Dolphins number over the past couple years. I like the Bills in this game. I like Josh Allen. Again, I think the Dolphins coming off of that big win, it's not so much a knock on the Dolphins themselves. It's more so of a knock on just every team. Like, every team seems to struggle sometimes after an emotional win. The Jets, for example. The Jets need to come out this week and win. They need to come out and play with a lot of fire. Like, you can't have a hangover from the week prior. So I think the Dolphins are going to have a little bit of that after that big road game, after the big win against the Ravens. I think you're going to see a little bit of that. I think the Bills' defense is going to force Tua into a lot of pressure. I like the Bills in this game. Again, I think they're just a more talented team. I don't fully trust Tua just yet. If he continues to play the way he's playing, then I will. But I like the Bills in this game. 31-17. Give me Buffalo. I'll take the under on the over-under of 53. And then the Bills do cover the 5 points. 31-17. Late touchdown kind of puts the icing on the cake for the Bills. Game number 2, we got the Chiefs and the Colts. Chiefs come into this game 2-0. Colts come into this game 0-1-1. Over-under set at 50.5. Chiefs are the 5.5-point favorites. CBS 1 Eastern on Sunday. Embarrassing. I mean, the Colts are embarrassing right now. They really are. They can't do anything offensively. They get dominated against the Texans, or they tie against the Texans, but their offense couldn't do anything. They had they had a drop in the end zone last week without Michael Pittman, who's really their only threat in the receiving core. I'm not going to say their only threat on offense because they got Jonathan Taylor. Couldn't do anything against the Jaguars, which the Colts just can't beat the Jaguars. It's weird. They just can't do it. And now you go against the Chiefs. I think the only advantage the Colts have in this game is that they're not on the road. They're home for this game at Lucas Oil Stadium. If this was on the road, I'd take the Chiefs in like a 30-point blowout. I do think it's going to be very close to that. I'm going to take the Chiefs 31-10. I think they dominate. Colts can't do anything on offense. I think the Chiefs come out firing, dominating. Look, the Chiefs have shown no signs of slowing down without Tyreek Hill. They haven't. They dominate Arizona, got a big win at home against against the Chargers. They've shown no signs of slowing down without Tyreek Hill. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs big over a dreadful offense in Indy. Chiefs win 31-10. I'll take the under on the over-under 50.5, and I think the Chiefs do cover the 5.5 points. Now we go to the Eagles, Commanders. Eagles come into this game 2-0. Commanders come into this game 1-1. Eagles are 6.5-point favorites. Commanders are the underdogs coming into this one at home. Over under set at 47.5. 1 Eastern on Fox. Commanders coming off a tough loss against the Lions on the road. The Eagles are coming off a big win against the Vikings at home, in which they dominated Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins gets dominated again. And obviously the storyline coming out of that game was Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts continues week in and week out continues to show what he's capable of, continues to show how talented he really is. Week in and week out, using his legs, using his arm, accuracy, deep ball, using all of his weapons, spreading the ball out. All those things are attributes that Jalen Hurts, we all knew he had. It was just a matter of unlocking them. A.J. Brown, all these pieces fitting together really, really well. And the biggest thing I continue to tell people is Devontae Smith had a better game last week, but he hasn't even fully had like that big game yet. He hasn't fully exploded. Hurts hasn't got him the ball that much just yet. Devontae Smith's been a factor only last week. Week 1, he wasn't a factor. Like, Devontae Smith hasn't even fully taken off yet, and this offense is still this good right now. Again, I think Washington's a solid team. I like what Carson Wentz has done in the 2 weeks, but I just like Philly here. You know how I feel about them. Very talented football team. They went on the road last year, beat Washington. I think they'll do the same thing again. I think they'll be riding high. I know it was a big win, but I think they'll be riding high after that last win at home. You know, they're legit. They're a legit, true contender in the National Football League. Give me the Eagles, 31-21. Eagles win. I'll take the over on the over-under of 47.5, and I think the Eagles do cover the 6.5. I do think Carson Wentz and the Commanders will make it interesting. Jahan Dotson's been really good. Terry McLaurin, Gibson, Curtis Samuel, really good pieces. Wentz has been good, but I do like the Eagles, rather, not the Phillies. I've been saying the Phillies this whole time. I do like the Eagles and their offense over the Washington Commanders. All right, the next game up here, we got the Lions and the Vikings. Vikings come into this game 1-1. Lions also come into this game 1-1. Vikings are 6-point favorites. Over-under set at 52.5, 1 Eastern on Fox. And I know a lot of people, when you look at this game, say, oh, the Lions might win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case if they were home. But they're on the road in Minnesota. That stadium's always rocking. It's a tough place to play. Really good Vikings team. Yes, I know they lost on Monday Night Football, but Kirk Cousins can't play on Monday Night Football. They got a lot of really good weapons. The Lions' defense has been the struggle of the team. That's been their struggle. That's been their issue. And on the road against this offense, I just don't know fully how I really feel about this from a Lions perspective. However, their offense has been really, really good. Their offense has been the reason they've won the 2 weeks. Jared Goff's been phenomenal. Their offense has been playing great. Earlier in the year, before the season started, we thought they were going to win games with defense and not do anything on offense. That hasn't been the case. They've been great on offense, not so great on defense. That's what's holding me back from giving them the upset win here, because I don't think it's crazy, again, to say that, because I like what the Lions have done so far this season, competing against Philly and in getting the win at home last week against Washington. But again, I think a little too much talent on the Viking side of the football. Offensively, will get the win. However, I don't think the Vikings cover. I don't think they do. Give me the Vikings 27-23. A late touchdown by Justin Jefferson will seal the deal. Vikings win 27-23. They don't cover, but the Vikings get the win. I'll take the under on the over-under 52.5. Vikings get the home victory against the Lions. All right, now we go to the Raiders-Titans here. Raiders come into this game 0-2. Titans also come into this game 0-2. So one of the couple games coming in where both teams are winless. Actually, I think it's the only game this week where both teams come in winless. Excuse me. Raiders obviously 0-2. They're 2-point favorites. Titans also 0-2. They're the underdogs here. Over-under set at 45.5. 1 Eastern on Fox. I think this says a lot, this spread. The fact that the Raiders are 2-point favorites on the road in Tennessee. If this was the Tennessee team last year, probably Tennessee's favorite here. The fact that they're a home underdog against a team that's also 0-2 is really disappointing. I think this also shows that people, including myself, still have a belief in this Raiders team. I don't think this is really what this Raiders team is. I don't think they're going to be this bad. I just don't. Maybe we were wrong about the divisions, but I just don't foresee this Raiders team being this bad for this long. You know, they had some tough luck. You know, you lose week 1 against the Chargers, really good team. You lose week 2 on a comeback. They very easily could be 2-0. However, they're 0-2. This is a big week for the Raiders, because if you lose this week, now all of a sudden, it's a little different with the Titans, because if the Titans lose this week, it's not like players are all of a sudden going to just lose Vrabel's trust. He's been in that locker room. Players respect him. You know, Josh McDaniel still got to earn these Raiders players' respect. He's still got to earn that. He hasn't fully earned it yet. He hasn't won a game yet. This is a big week for the Raiders. If you go on the road here and get a win, you don't know how big that could be for a locker room. If you lose, that's terrible. That's awful because just look at their schedule after this. Then you have the Broncos coming up, which is winnable, but then you have Kansas City after that, and that's on the road. So this is a big game for the Raiders. It really is, especially when you have 2 division games coming back-to-back. If you can win this game, you have an opportunity to beat Denver at home, and in Kansas City you have after that, who knows what happens with that. I mean, I'm going to take the Raiders here, but this is a huge game for the Raiders. You fall to 0-3, there's a chance after that you're 1-4 going into your bye week. That's really concerning. But give me the Raiders. I think they're more talented. The Titans have been awful. They've been terrible this first 2 weeks. They've been atrocious, embarrassing. Give me the Raiders, 27-13. Under on the over-under of 45.5. And then the Raiders will get to win and cover the 2 points. All right. Got to get going here. Got to get rolling a little quicker here. We got Ravens, Patriots. Ravens 3-point favorites. Patriots, obviously, the underdogs. Over under 44.5, 1 Eastern on Fox. Crazy. Nowadays, the Patriots are underdogs at home. Not something you saw a couple years ago. Really is crazy how the times have turned. I'm going to take the Ravens here. Again, I like what I see. I like the Ravens a lot, and they're a really good team. Last week was terrible. I think the Ravens are going to come out. They're going to be very angry after last week's game. They're going to come out with a lot of energy, going to come out with a lot of fire. They're going to come out with a lot of just tenacity. They're obviously angry. Harbaugh is going to get the team straightened up. That was not the performance you need to see out of a Ravens team last week. Give me Baltimore here. Give me a win big. They're going to be frustrated. They're going to be angry. I haven't liked what I've seen out of Mac Jones and the Patriots offense. Give me the Ravens and their defense to have a bounce-back game after getting absolutely dominated last week at home against Miami. Give me Baltimore, 31-13. I'll take the under right at 44 actually, as the over/under there. I'll take the over probably, and then I think the Ravens do cover the 2 points or 3 points. Next up here, 1 Eastern on Fox to close out. Actually, we got one more 1 o'clock game after this. Saints-Panthers. Panthers 0-2. Saints 1-1. Saints are 2.5-point favorites. Over/under set at 41. 1 Eastern on Fox. In-division game. Weird in-division game. You have the Saints coming out, winning the first week, losing last week. Panthers have looked bad the first 2 weeks of the season. Obviously, blew the game week 1. Actually, I should take that back. Panthers blow they come all the way back in week 1, then lose. Last week, they had many opportunities to win that game against the Giants, and they lost. Panthers easily could be 2-0, but they're not because they come all the way back and lose on a game-losing field goal. And then last week, they had so many opportunities to score when the Giants weren't scoring, and they couldn't do that. Weird way the Panthers have lost. One game they lost because of their defense. The week after that, they lost because of their offense. I do like the Saints here. I think they're just a more talented football team. Matt Rule just can't coach at the NFL level. I've kind of started to give up on him. I've kind of started to give up on a lot of the Panthers. It's weird because they have some talent. They just, for some reason, that's bad coaching. They have talent. They just can't win games with it. That's when you know it's a sign of bad coaching. Give me the Saints, 28-27. Close game. Or actually not 27. 28-23. Saints win. Cover the 2.5. Over on the over-under 41. All right, the next game we got Texans-Bears. Bears open up this game 1-1. Texans are 0-1-1. Bears are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under set at 39.5. Yes, all the way down to 39.5. Crazy to say that. The over-under for this game is extremely low. Not crazy surprising considering both teams' offenses. Look, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. When you look at the two teams here, the Texans competed in their first game, competed last week. You look at the Bears, they won their first game. It was ugly, but they won, and they got dominated last week. I'm going to go with an upset here. I think the Texans are going to win this game. I do. Again, they've competed the first 2 weeks of the season, and they've competed against two teams that offenses were struggling. The big question is now can their offense, make some plays? I think they will. I think Davis Mills is going to make some plays, and you're going to see a little bit better game out of Dameon Pierce. I think you're going to see a little bit more positives out of this Texans team on offense. On the road in Chicago, Bears coming off a tough loss against the Packers in which they got dominated for like the 100th time on Sunday Night Football. It seems like they're on every week, and they get dominated every week. Give me the Texans road upset. 21-17. A late touchdown wins it for Houston. Under on the over-under of 39.5. And then the Texans +3 get the win on the road in Chicago Soldier Field. All right. Now we move to the 4 o'clock games here. We got Chargers, Jaguars. Chargers 1-1, Jaguars 1-1. Chargers a small 3-point favorite. Over-under set at 42.5. 4:05 Eastern on CBS. I'm taking the Chargers. Okay. I know the Jaguars won last week. I know you saw a lot of positives. We'll see how Justin Herbert fares. If Justin Herbert's in, taking the Chargers. If Justin Herbert's out, I'm taking the Jaguars. Just want to make that clear. I'm going to take the Chargers, though. I do think Justin Herbert will play. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll obviously see how it all ends up playing out. But I like this Chargers team a lot. And this isn't so much a knock on the Jaguars because they got a big win last week. I don't think a lot of us saw that coming against the Colts, the way the Colts played so badly. But I do like the Chargers, really talented team. The big question, though, is Herbert's health. If he's healthy enough, and I think that's why the spread's so small. Because, if you were to bet on this game, you're relying on a guy with a broken rib to be healthy and to be ready to go. So it should be interesting. It's definitely going to be an interesting game. Give me the Chargers, though. 28-20. Chargers win. I think they cover the 3 points, and I'll take the over on the over-under 42.5. Next up, 4:25 Eastern on Fox, Seahawks, Falcons. Seahawks 1-1, Falcons 0-2. Interesting game. This is a really, really interesting game. Falcons 1-point favorites, over-under set at 42, like I mentioned. It's a really odd game because when you look at this game on paper, you'd probably go ahead and say the Seahawks. And if you looked after week 1, this would have been an interesting game because it still is an interesting game. Seahawks had a great week 1, get crushed week 2. Falcons competed week 1, and then last week they got, competed as well. So do you go with the team that has a win week 1, but got crushed week 2, or go with a team that's been very competitive against 2 of the better teams? Saints aren't one of the top teams in the league, but they were competitive against the Rams, right? They lost by 4, and it was a Jalen Ramsey interception that had to clinch that game. They had a chance to win it. They had a chance to take a lead. They had a chance to make that thing really interesting. So how do you pick this game? Do you go with the team with the 2 very competitive games, or do you go with the team with the 1 win and the blowout? I'm going to take the Seahawks. Again, they're at home. They looked much better at home in week 1 than they did week 2. They just did. I think the home crowd's going to make a big difference. That place is always rocking. It always is. And I also think more so now than ever, like, if the Seahawks can win this game and you get to 2-1, you're starting to think to yourself, all right, next week you have the Lions, which isn't like, the Lions aren't bad. Like I said, they're competitive, but it's not like that's an impossible game to win. I think the Lions are a solid team, but they're not impossible to beat, right? Then you have the Saints, which is going to be tough. Then you have the Cardinals, Chargers, Giants. Cardinals are going to be tough. You look at the schedule here. After next week, if you lose this game and you fall to 1-2, next week against the Lions on the road looks like much more of a tougher matchup than if you win this week and make a statement. So give me Seattle against the Falcons. I think it's going to be a relatively higher scoring game because both defenses are terrible. And that's why I think it's going to be interesting. Like, both defenses are awful. Like, the Falcons defense is very good. Seahawks defense isn't very good. So I think it's 24-21, relatively higher scoring. Seahawks win. Late field goal wins it. They cover the 1 point. 24-21. I'll take the over on the over-under of 42, and then the Seahawks get the win at home. 4:25 Eastern on Fox again. All right, now we move to Packers-Broncos. Packers-Buccaneers, rather. Buccaneers come into this game 2-0, 1-point favorites. Packers come into this game 1-1, over-under set at 42. 4:25 Eastern on Fox. An interesting game. If you told me this was the game last year, I would definitely probably take the Packers. Packers obviously got the win last week against Chicago, but what is this Packers team? We still really fully don't know what this Packers team is without Devontae Adams. We still don't, because they got to win against the Bears. That's not surprising. This is a big week for the Packers. If they can go out and make a statement win against a team where both offenses actually have struggled. Tampa's hasn't been very good either, and Green Bay hasn't been very good either. I know they beat Chicago last week, but again, not surprising at all. A very interesting game and a big game for many reasons. If the Packers can get a big win here against the Buccaneers, you're looking at a team that, all right, they're 2-1. Next week they have New England at home. Then they have the Giants on the road, which would be London. And then they have the Jets, then Washington. Those are all winnable games for the Packers. They are. They're also tougher games at times. You look at that Patriots game, you could say to yourself, well, if we can't beat Tampa this week, we're 1-2. Belichick and his defense against our offense, how's that going to be? What about the Giants game? London, you never know what could happen there. Then you do have the Jets, which, I think the Jets hopefully are competitive in that game, but you never know. Washington as well. So this is a big week for Green Bay. And also a big week because, again, you beat Chicago, that's great. But you lost week 1 against Minnesota, you lost week 1 against Tampa. It's one thing to beat the teams you're supposed to beat and get crushed by the teams you're not supposed to. Get crushed by the teams that are the tougher teams. That's concerning. So I'm going to take Tampa here. I'm going to take them, and I think it's a low-scoring game. Tampa wins 20-13. Late touchdown wins it. Tampa wins. I'll take the under on the over-under 42. Tampa covers the 1 point. All right, 2 more left here. Rams, Cardinals. Rams 3.5-point favorites. Over-under set at 48.5. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Fox. Look, interesting because, you have the Cardinals who got blown out in week 1, get the win week 2. Crazy comeback. And then you have the Rams who get blown out week 1. And then they have a close game week 2. So it's interesting. I'm going to take the Rams here just because I don't fully believe that was the Cardinals team we're going to see much of. I just don't. I don't think that's the legit Cardinals. I think what we're going to see out of the Cardinals prior to DeAndre Hopkins coming back is what we saw week 1, especially against a really good defense in the Rams, who hasn't really been very good recently. You hope, though, if you're a Rams fan, that Jalen Ramsey interception last week can help them somewhat, can propel them a little bit. We'll see. Rams, though, win 31-27. Just cover the 3.5. Give me the Rams. Over on the over-under 40.5. I think it's close, but Rams win. All right, and to close things out here, we got 49ers, Broncos. Both teams come in 1-1. 49ers are a small 1.5-point favorite. Over-under set at 43.5. 8:20 Eastern on NBC. It's a tough game to pick. It is because, again, you have a team that's coming on. Trey Lance obviously got hurt last week. It was really tough to see that. You do have Jimmy G now, and you hear from people that a lot of people within the organization of the Niners think that Jimmy G at times gives them a better chance to win. So I'm going to take the Niners here. I like what I saw out of the Niners last week under Jimmy G. I've always said this about Jimmy G. He wins. He wins games. It might not always be pretty. He might not always load up the stat sheet, but he goes out and wins games. And I'll tell you what I've seen out of Denver the first 2 weeks of the season, specifically offensively, because their defense has been fine, specifically offensively, has been really, really poor. When Russell Wilson's your quarterback, Javion Williams is in the backfield, and you have 2 very, very, very good receivers. I know, yes, I understand Judy got hurt. We'll see how he plays. We'll see if he's available in this game. But in Sutton and Judy, and you're not scoring any points against Houston or against Seattle, I don't care that it was on the road. It's Seattle. Their defense is terrible. I'm genuinely concerned. And I'll tell you what, it stinks to see Trey Lance go down, but I actually think the Niners are a better team with Jimmy Garoppolo at times. I do. Because, again, he wins. And a big reason why people always try to bring up the argument, well, why didn't anybody trade for him? Well, because his contract's ridiculous. Like, nobody's going to trade for a guy to have him be there for like a year or to have him be there for a couple weeks. Like, people saying, I said, Browns trade for him when Deshaun Watson got hurt or Deshaun Watson got suspended. I did say that. But looking back on that now, you're not going to go sign a guy, pay him $25 million a year just to play like 6 weeks. That was obviously at the time of when the suspension was only 6 weeks. Now it's longer, obviously. Or sign like for the Jets when people were saying sign Jimmy G for 3 weeks before Wilson comes back. You're not going to do that because you're not going to pay a guy $25 million. You're just not. You're just not going to do it because when Wilson comes back, he's the starter. That's the big reason why. It's his contract. But he plays well. He really does. He gets the job done. It's not always pretty, but he gets the job done. I'm going to take the Niners here. I think the Niners get a big win at home. I think the team's going to rally around Jimmy G. And I think you're going to see that Niners offense with Deebo Samuel and all those pieces really come out now. That Shanahan offense really come out now with Jimmy G back leading the way. Give me the Niners 21-20 a close victory, 21-17 actually. A close victory. They get the win on Sunday Night Football. Niners get the win. All right, now, so now we get into the Jets game. So it's Jets-Bengals. Jets are 1-1. Bengals are 2-0, or 0-2 rather. Bengals are 6-point favorites here. They're 6-point road favorites. Jets are 6-point home underdogs. Over-under set at 44.5, 1 Eastern on CBS. And I would like to say this. After a great win last week, obviously, for the Jets, it was a phenomenal win, and I'll get more into detail with this game tomorrow, obviously, as I do every Saturday. I do my, every Saturday I do my Jets in the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I just want to say this. Look, it would be a very, this is a big week for the Jets. It is. And last week it was a big week, but really it's a big week every week for this Jet team where, so many eyes are on us, so many eyes are solid, so many eyes are on this coaching staff, this team, and obviously once Wilson comes back, even more eyes will be on him. The Jets need to come out this week and put together a really, really good performance. Specifically, they need to go out and get a win. Because when we talk about changing the culture, changing the narrative around this Jet team, there's a ton of times where people would go on and say, there was a ton of times where in past years, the Jets would go and win a big game. People would say, all these great things about the team. And in that Sunday, the next Sunday, they get blown out. Many, many, many times I can give you this example. The Mike White game last year when the Jets got the win against the Bengals. And the next week, they played Thursday Night Football. Quick turnaround. Jets got crushed. And I understand Mike White got hurt, but they still got crushed. Hangover from that Bengals game. I could give you even a long, a little bit down, that back to the top Bulls era first year when the Jets won the game against the Patriots in overtime. The next week, they played against Buffalo, got caught looking ahead, got caught kind of in a hangover, and they lost to the Bills, missed the playoffs. Many, many occasions. There's been many. Go back to the Darnold rookie game. First game, gets the win. Too focused about that game, not able to turn your focus on the next week. Jets get dominated a week later against Miami at home. There's been so many times throughout the years where the Jets get a big win, an emotional win, Mike White game. That win against New England. Even more recently, there's been a lot of those games. And then the next week, they come out and they're flat. And they play like garbage, and it's not good. So this is a big week for this Jet team. This is a big opportunity for this Jet team to go out, and you talk about changing the culture, you talk about changing the narrative. This is an opportunity to do that. You get a big emotional win last week, start stacking them up. Get a big win here, get to 2-1, and then you know what? Hey, Week 4, you're going up against a Steelers team that can't do anything offensively right now. You probably get Wilson back for that game. You're going to have a little bit of extra energy for that. All right, boom. Maybe you find yourself 3-1. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but so many times the Jets, get a win. And then they, just have a terrible performance the next week. Then 4 weeks later, they get another win. That's why it's 4 or 5 win seasons, because they can never stack up wins. So an emotional win, turn the page. You're now on to Cincinnati. Get a home victory. Win a game at home. When's the last time the Jets won a game at home in September? Last week, they got the win in September for the first time since Darnold's rookie year. When's the last time they won a game at home in September? Was that all? It might have also been Darnold's rookie year, was it? Well, the Jets started that year, they lost the first game at home. Darnold, then, I know they beat Indy. I know they beat Indy, which I think was was that like week 5 or week 6, I think, that year? They beat the Colts. I don't know. I think the Darnold year, they might have also won a game at home. To be fair, they also won a game at home in the Bulls era, I think, a couple years prior. So it hasn't been too long. It's been long, but win a September game at home, would you? And again, the big thing for the Jets is they got to get pressure on Burrow. They have to get pressure on Burrow. They have to. Burrow has been getting pressured a ton over the past couple weeks. Got to get pressure on Burrow. Then they lost to Pittsburgh. They obviously lost to Dallas. They lost to Trubisky and Cooper Rush. They've allowed 13 sacks. It is huge for the Jets to get pressure on Burrow. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I think after a big win last week, I can't sit here and say Jets are going to lose. I'm going to go, and maybe I'm not full. I was more optimistic. I will tell you, I was more optimistic about last week than I am this week because I need the Jets to change the narrative on these letdowns. Like, that's the full thing. I don't fully trust the Jets yet to go out after emotional win another game. But go out, get a win, get the 2-1, and well, I mean, I'm going to be ecstatic if the Jets find themselves at 2-1. So get the win this week. Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets. 27-20. Jets win. A late touchdown to Garrett Wilson seals the deal. Burrow sacked 5 times. Carl Lawson get on the board. Let's get Quinnen on the board. JFM. Let's get Clemens' first sack. Right? Let's go. Give me the Jets 27-10. Get the big win at home. Over under set at 44.5. I think I'll take the over. And the Jets win +6. Give me the Jets 27-20. Change the narrative. Get this win. Stack them up. Make it 2 straight. Get ready for Pittsburgh and make that 3 straight. That sounds great to me. All right, give me the Jets. All right, so now my game picks again. Jets winning, Bills winning, Chiefs winning, Eagles winning, Vikings winning, Raiders winning, Ravens winning, Saints winning, Texans winning, Chargers winning, Seahawks winning, Buccaneers winning, Rams winning, and the Niners winning. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll get the Jets and Cowboys in a little. I'll get the Jets, or Giants, Cowboys rather, on Monday. All right, so now let's go to the college games. A couple really good college games this week. You obviously got Tennessee, Florida. Texas A&M, Arkansas is a really good game. Some others include the Ohio State, Wisconsin's, not a phenomenal game, but it's a pretty good game. Wisconsin's an interesting team, 2-1. Could they possibly go on the road and find a road upset? We'll see. Oregon and Washington State is a good game. Washington State 3-0. Oregon coming off a big win against BYU. So a couple really good games there. Clemson, Wake Forest is really good. Does Wake Forest take advantage of a tough Clemson offense? Rutgers, Iowa. Could Rutgers possibly find themselves ranked if they beat Iowa? You look at a Kansas. Duke is a big one. Just for Kansas, sold out. So a couple really good games this week. Baylor, Iowa State is a really, really good game for Baylor and Iowa State there. Miami against, Memphis, Middle Tennessee State. So that should be an interesting thing. I think Miami's probably going to win that game. Middle Tennessee's not much. So good week. In conference play starts now. You get to week 4, week 5 of the season. Conference play starts now, and a lot of really good games coming up this week. All right, now we head to baseball today. We'll get to that. Cubs, Pirates, Reds, Brewers, Marlins, Nationals, Phillies, Braves, Orioles, Cardinals, Blue Jays, Rays, Rangers, Guardians, Twins, Angels, Royals, Mariners, Padres, Rockies, Tigers, White Sox, Diamondbacks, Giants, and the Dodgers, Cardinals. It's Mets, A's tonight. Mets, 9:40 p.m. Eastern. You can find out, I believe, on SNY. Mets come into this game 95-56. A's come into this game 55-95. Mets got Chris Bassett on the mound. He's 14-8 with a 3.32 ERA. And the A's got Cole Irvin on the mound. He's 9-11 with a 3.79 ERA. Over-under set at 7 for this game. As for the Yankees, Red Sox, the Yankees open up with a 91-58 record. Red Sox open up with a 72-77 record. I don't know why more so. Second game of 3-game set, not opening up. Second game of 4-game set, rather. 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Again, Apple TV Plus, which I think is ridiculous. It is what it is. Red Sox got Rich Hill on the mound. He's 7-7 with a 4.70 ERA. Yankees got Garrett Cole on the mound. He's 12-7 with a 3.41 ERA. Over-under set at 7.5. I could watch it on Apple Plus, but I still think it's ridiculous. You have a home run race and the game's on Apple TV Plus. It's terrible. It's just stupid. As for fantasy baseball, I'm currently losing in one of my leagues, 154-132. And in my other league, I'm currently winning 169-112. So playoffs for both these leagues. Big couple games here. Big couple, a lot of decisions you got to make. A lot of tough decisions. That's kind of how it is in fantasy baseball. Trying to decide whether or not to go Jonathan India to start, or do I go William Contreras? Probably go India to start because Bogarts is not in the lineup tonight. So we'll see how it all plays out. All right, so now we get to fantasy football. So last night I had Chubb. My lineup in one of my leagues, it's kind of the same. If you're in a position like I am where Dalton Schultz is questionable, he hasn't practiced all week. So he's probably not going to play. He hasn't practiced all week. It's a Monday night game. He's not going to probably play. So I picked up Tyler Higbee. If any of you had or picked up David Njoku, good for you. Great game last night for him. Pratt Freiermuth, I know some people picked up. If you're still looking for a guy to pick up, Logan Thomas, if he's available. Hayden Hurst is an interesting one from the Bengals. He's been a guy that had 9 points and 7 points. Have kind of been relied a little bit more in short passes just because of the fact that the offensive line's been terrible. I like Gerald Everett this week against Jacksonville. I think, again, Keenan Allen with the possibility of him maybe being out. He's being questionable. You might see Gerald Everett get a little bit more opportunities just because Herbert's going to have to go other ways. So those are all very possible scenarios, very possible guys that you could look out for. Conklin's actually had a really good 2 weeks this year. 11 points and 10 points in fantasy. Again, real games, obviously you'd like to see a little bit more, but in fantasies, he's put together 2 really nice weeks. So we'll see how that plays out. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out, because I'm trying to figure out my one league, my 3-receiver league. I love what I've seen on Michael Thomas. I don't want to bench McLaurin. Obviously, Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. I know he's coming off a tough week. But it does make it interesting. What do you do with David Montgomery? If you're in a situation where you're trying to go receiver at flex. If you're in a situation where you're trying to decide between like a Michael Thomas and a David Montgomery at flex, I'd personally go Michael Thomas because I like what I've seen out of him. He's also going against a Carolina defense that's interesting. So it's definitely interesting to see how that plays out. Do you go Michael Thomas or like a David Montgomery, Keenan Allen or David Montgomery? Right now I'm going with 4 receivers. Keenan Allen was limited at Thursday. We'll see how that plays out. Again, if you're in a situation where I have Judy, Keenan Allen, and Gabriel Davis all at kind of receiver, it's an interesting situation because you don't really know what to fully do. If Gabriel Davis is out, you probably plug in Judy. Now, if Judy's also out and Davis is out, I would probably say the next closest, if you have like a receiver at flex, if you have like a Michael Thomas or somebody at flex, put him at receiver, and if you got a guy like a Michael Carter, plug him in. Very good game last year against Cincinnati. Continues to stack up good games so far this season. A really good fantasy threat. I like him as a possible flex option if those guys are out. You could also look at a guy like a Tyler Boyd. A little bit of a higher risk just because of the fact that the Jets have been really good. But assuming DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner kind of lock up T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, if they're not finding, with the Jets having 2 really good corners there, Tyler Boyd might get a little bit more targets because he might be a guy that's open more often than a Chase and a Higgins just because of the fact that that's going to be the Jets' main focus. So you could look out for that as well as a possible option. And yeah, you kind of go, again, Chubb last night got me 17 in one of my leagues, so you go up and down the list. I know a lot of people like what they saw out of Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is a tough player because he hasn't fully exploded yet, and you don't really know fully what you're going to get out of him. And I know David Montgomery, Dobbins. If Dobbins is in, I don't know if I'm going to play him. That's an interesting play. We don't know really what to expect out of Dobbins. It's definitely interesting. I'd probably play Carter. I like Carter a lot. If you got Carter at flex, that's solid. Especially if you're trying to decide between like a Gabriel Davis or a Carter, or in even deeper leagues like a Carter or a David Montgomery like a Dobbins. If you're in a deeper league where you got both those guys, a flex. I mean, if you have Montgomery at flex, you got a really solid draft. You have a really solid running back room. You could always go Dobbins there too. A lot of people wonder, a Thielen over, a Carter, because Thielen, again, he's a guy that has not put together 2 good weeks. And he's a guy that's very inconsistent. And you don't know what to do with Thielen. So I always say this. If you want to start Thielen every week and wait for that breakout week, because when Thielen breaks out, he has like 31, 32 points. He does. He gets like 100 yards and he'll get like 2 touchdowns. But the 2 weeks he hasn't done anything. 4 catches, 36 yards, 7 catches, 52 yards, 6 points, 9 points. Hasn't done anything. So are you waiting for Thielen to break out? What do you want to see there? I'm benching Thielen right now. He's still my backup. I think it's just such a high risk of starting him at this point. I think if you're in a predicament at receiver, I'd choose Elijah Moore or a guy like a Robert Woods or even a Jahan Dotson or a Curtis Samuel. A guy like a Curtis Samuel, he's a start this week. Not really Robert Woods, but Curtis Samuel. He's a guy I'd start in many leagues this week. He's been phenomenal. Jahan Dotson. All three of Washington's receivers have been really, really good. I wouldn't have a problem with starting any of those guys this week. So they're all very solid assets. And I know they're obviously going up against Philly, coming off of a week where Darius Slay had the 3 interceptions. But it's 3 guys you got to work with. And Wentz has been good, and especially if you want the combos there too. Curtis Samuel and Wentz combo. I know a lot of people went with Wentz, obviously, after Dak went down. So all those are possible options at the receiver and running back spots there. So we'll see how it all plays out. Should be another good week and another exciting week of football, fantasy football, and all that good stuff. All right, so that will do it. Another good week in the books full of podcasts. It is a football Friday, and enjoy your weekend. Let's go Yankees. Let's see if Judge can hit 61 tonight. And, that will do it. As always, enjoy your weekend. You know the drill. I'll see you back here on the flip side. Obviously, keep your eye out. Bub's Talking Baseball podcast up on Sunday, and a Gangrene in the Trenches podcast, obviously previewing the Jets game on Saturday, and right after the Jet game, I will recap it as well. So look out for those podcasts coming up this weekend. But as for this one, I will see you all back here on the flip side on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.